my loving pranams at Swami's divine lotus feet. Thank you, Jay, for that extraordinarily kind introduction. It's good to be here, dear friends. Sai Ram. And if there are any children, dear boys and girls, Sai Ram to you as well. It's like being with family. Since I was there 4 years ago and connected with so many of you so affectionately. What I would like to do today is to share with you just one quotation of Swami's, just a few words of Swami's that had a profound impact on my life. This was in the 80s, 1980s. I was a new devotee then. I was in Puttaparthi, and in those days, if you were an overseas devotee, you could come into any function that was going on. You were welcome there as a guest. There was a conference of active workers of the Sri Sathya Sai Seva Organization in India. And I sat in there more to have Swami's darshan than anything else. And one after the other, the state presidents were coming and giving their reports about all the seva work being done in their states. After they were all done, Swami blasted them. I'll give you one example of what Swami said. He said to one state president, "You spoke glowingly of the renovation of a school in this village in your state. You haven't been there. And all the renovation that was done was they whitewashed the front of the school, and that was it." And at the end of that blasting, Swami fired all of them. He asked all of them to leave their positions, and then he instituted a different system of leadership for the states. But what is really remarkable is what he said after that. Then he softened his voice and he told these state presidents, just because you have lost your positions, don't leave the organization. Every devotee has a heart-to-heart connection with Swami. But when you're part of the organization, you're an active worker in the organization, you have a double connection with Swami. I took that to heart and I involved myself wholeheartedly in organizational activities. Whatever position they gave me, I accepted and did to the best of my ability. And when I didn't have a position, I kept myself active in the organization in any way I could. And Swami rewarded me wonderfully. I could see his hand in so many different ways, encouraging me. And over the years, that has been very heartening, because once you know that Swami is there for you, always watching out for you, encouraging you, then there is no worry about anything. What's there to worry about if the Lord of the universe is in charge? No anxiety about anything. You don't fear anything. And that's a beautiful place to be. The only fears we need to have, though, are our own inner weaknesses, our own negative tendencies. But even with those, Swami is so kind, so forgiving. So I became an SSE teacher early on, and I've stayed one all these years. This is about a span of 40 odd years. And as an SSE teacher, I could, even in those early days, Swami was there. One day, it was stormy weather, bad weather. The teachers, we were 4 of us, we arrived at the center. But most of the children didn't come, or pretty much all of them didn't come, except for one family. The father brought his 2 teenage daughters. And I was their teacher. And we were sitting in front of the altar. The girls were feeling kind of odd. I mean, here, we are the only ones here. Maybe we shouldn't have come. Those were the feelings going through their minds. And I wanted them to realize that when we come with love, we join together in love, Swami is there. So in order to make them feel comfortable, make them realize that it's okay, it was a good thing that they came, I started telling them about Swami showing his presence to his devotees through flowers. So I told them about this incident or the repeated incident of some early devotees when Swami was very young, meeting in Bangalore and singing bhajans, and they would make a big garland for Swami, and they would keep singing bhajans till the garland broke. And the garland would break into as many pieces as there were ladies attending the bhajan, one for each lady, one piece of the garland. And then another incident of in Chennai, Madras, where devotees would be singing and the garland would be swinging to the rhythm of the bhajan. So I was telling them these stories, and suddenly 2 flowers very, very visibly just popped out of the altar and fell. One fell in front of one of the girls, one fell beside her, the other one. So in these kinds of ways, and this is just one incident, there were many such that Swami encouraged our fledgling SSE group, and also made me realize that Swami is right there. You do his work, he's there for you. And 1989 came, and we teachers were sitting down and figuring out where to go for a field trip. And one of the teachers said, why don't we go on the ultimate field trip and go to Puttaparthi, 1989? And we did. We went there, 100 of us, children, teachers, parents. And Swami was so kind to us, so kind. He allowed the children to sing their bhajans in the bhajan hall, in the mandir. And then he invited the group, the parents, one time, some of them, but the teachers and the children especially. There were about 40 odd children. And he called them in and just gave them a lot of attention, a lot of joy. And one, in my mind, momentous exchange took place when a little boy, 6-year-old, he said, Swami, please come to our Bal Vikas. And Swami responded, I'm always there, but you do not see me. And that is an eye-opener. I mean, we intellectually think of this as oh, well, when devotees sing together, the Lord is there. But for Swami to say, I'm always there, that was amazing. But we learned 2 important lessons during that trip. In order to please Swami, we have to be disciplined and we have to have unity. And having learned those 2 lessons, we took them to heart, and throughout the next many years, over the next 12 or so trips that we took to Swami with presentations as a group, we maintained that. Now, the discipline is easier. What we would do is, once we got there, we would make rules for ourselves. No, ladies and gents don't, communicate unnecessarily. We don't go out into the marketplace unless we have business to conduct. We remain focused on whatever we need to do, whatever work is at hand. And for that, And for darshan, we would go as a group, ladies and gents separately, dressed in white, gents dressed in white, ladies dressed in a particular dress, sari that we would select. And we would go silently, we would have our scarves on, we would be seated, and we would be silent throughout that time, unless there was needed communication. And every 15 minutes or so, we would chant the Gayatri or the Sai Gayatri silently. So that discipline we maintained. That was the easier of the two. The more difficult is unity. To ensure unity amongst us, that fellow feeling that we are all brothers and sisters, we met for months. Every week, we would meet and we would do sadhana together, sometimes have a study circle, say prayers together, and at the same time, we would practice the songs that we were going to take on the trip to Swami, or the play. We would rehearse it, and we would keep working on it for months, striving for perfection. And Swami has been very kind to our center for us to be able to do these. He gave us a center member. Keep in mind that we are in Los Angeles. This is Hollywood country. We had a member who taught acting, and she was our director for the plays that we took to Swami. And then we had this SSC child of ours who had grown up to become a wonderful musician. And not only that, she was very savvy with all this technical stuff, which is mumbo jumbo to me, but some of these young people are so good at that. And she recorded the voices for our plays and put them all together and added music and just made it a beautiful audio play, which then we could take and lip sync for our plays with our children. And I could keep on talking about, there were others as well. There's this lady who was a wonderful painter, and she painted the backdrops for our plays. So with all this talent, it would have been criminal for us not to go on trip after trip, taking the children with us, so that we expose the families, the children, and sometimes it was young adults as well. And that was so uplifting for them. And Swami was so very kind. And as I was saying, he's right there for any of us, really. We just have to connect with him, and he makes wonderful things happen with our feeble efforts. And sort of kind of to give you an example of that, I selected a little video clip to show you, but let me give you the background though. So this was 2019, in the middle of the year. They asked us from Puttaparthi, and the International Sai Organization asked us if we would put up a play. We had done that before, and with Swami's grace, the plays went well. So they gave us another chance, and they asked us if we would do that. And once we know that Swami is there to take care, there's never any hesitation. Even though our director had left us to go to another state to live with her son. But if he gives us that opportunity, he's going to take care of it. With that faith, we took on that project. This was for Christmas 2019, just before COVID struck. So With a Christmas play, it's a little different. You can get as many children as you can. And the play was more young adult oriented, children and young adults. You take as many as you can with you. And whatever the shortfall in terms of the cast, you recruit either right then and there from whoever is present there, but very often by reaching out to other regions, other countries, because the Christmas play is sort of multinational, it's international. So we worked hard. We got a story, a play written, and we recorded it using whatever audio talent we could find amongst the children and the young adults. We put in all that effort. Our musician member added the music to it and made a beautiful play out of it, audio-wise. And then we really tried hard to get as many of the members of the play, of the cast, right then and there from where we were. But so many people had so many commitments and not able to come for this reason or the other. And we were able to get about 6 children, 4 girls, 2 boys that would go for the play. And we sent out notices through the national organization, through the international organization, for anyone who was able to come to Puttaparthi. We said by the 18th, because the play was on the 26th. So kind of a week ahead, who wanted to join and be part of the play. So we did that, put the word out. And when we arrived on the 18th, I had my 6 children, and I had 2 young adults from Florida, 1 from Seattle, 1 from Mauritius, 1 from Australia, and that was it. And I needed more than a dozen additional actors. So looking around, there was a group of children who had come from Mauritius. So we picked all the older kids, older boys from amongst them. We needed more boys. And so we had part of our cast. Then we got a hold of 2 South African boys. We accosted them on the road in Puttaparthi and said, "Hey, would you like to be the play?" And we got those 2 in. And then we needed a Jesus. And so I became the de facto director with none but little amateurish experience directing. And this Jesus, that was an important character. And I didn't want to take a kid of Indian origin and dress him up as Jesus. And that just wouldn't look okay, because all of us have this conception of Jesus as a Caucasian. I mean, whatever he was, whether Caucasian or not, but the conception we have of Jesus is a white person. And we started looking for Jesus. And it wasn't easy, because there are not that many young men, Caucasian men at that time, before Christmas, ready to be part of this play. We found 2 who really looked good, because they had little beards and hair. One of them was a Brazilian. The other one was a Siberian. He's from Russia, and he doesn't know much English. And he just arrived in Puttaparthi a few days earlier. But by Swami's grace, even though the Brazilian dropped out, this Russian boy who had to spend a whole hour trying to understand the play and read the play, he said, "I like the message." And he decided to act in it. So I'm telling you all of this only to show how amateurish, how leaving it to the wind and the sun and the rain, this effort was. We were depending totally on Swami to put it all together and get these youngsters who may not have ever acted in any play to go out there and act. And what's wonderful is how, when we make our sincere effort, how Swami comes through time and time and time again and makes such good things happen. So I just wanted to show you just a small section of the play. The play is about 25 minutes long. This is 4 minutes that I'm going to show you, just so you can see how in that short period of time, Swami made so many things fall in place. So the story is, this elderly uncle, someone like me, has had dreams in which he found out with Swami's grace that he was a fisherman in Jesus's time. And he's telling this story to two young children who were helping him with Christmas decorations, because they were asking him, "Uncle, you come every Christmas, we see you. What's the special connection with Christmas?" and all of that. And then he started telling them. So when he says, "I did this, I did that," he's talking about him in Jesus's time. He was a fisherman and he was finding out about Jesus when the play begins. So you see what I mean? Well, I pray to Swami that every one of you develops a double connection with Swami, and that you feel his hand in every good thing that you do. Swami be with you always. Sai Ram.